Right, I'm joined by racing driver and former Stig Ben Collins. Ben, welcome on board. Thank you so much for joining me. That'd be terrible for you in
Great
your.
to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again. That wouldn't work for you in your averagely priced car. I used to love you on Top Gear. You were brilliant.
It was fine. We had no limiters.
Exactly. So what do you make of this then? What's your view on having a speed limiter in your car, but as almost a mandatory thing?
I would hate it. I think for the average driver, it would be incredibly distracting to have a device that cut power or was giving you sort of contrary signals to what your foot was telling you to do. Because for most of the time, driving safely is about paying attention. We all have a good risk assessment going on 24/7. It's a human instinct that's built into us all. For the most part, we respect the speed limits, and they're there for the right reasons. But actually, in America, they're starting to increase the speed limits because vehicle safety has improved so much over the years. Emissions are being reduced all the time as well, so vehicle technology is advancing constantly. So I think this is really an unnecessary thing to even consider. And it would be incredibly distracting, which if you're taking the driver away from the task, you make the exercise less safe, which is obviously the opposite of what they're looking to do.
Well, the other thing is, you remember when we had to use A to Zs, but then suddenly Satnav came on board. Now most people have only used Satnav, they can't read a map. Do you not think there may be a problem if we have things like that, where people just sort of don't even concentrate anymore on controlling themselves because they're being controlled?
Lack of concentration is a big problem. I think also drivers are generally fed up of being taxed to death. I just did a journey recently up to Lincoln and back, and even though you're on a motorway, most of it is stuck at 50 with an average speed camera check with roadworks that seem to be never ending. It's just they put the speed limit there as an emissions target. So I think it's tough. At the end of the day, the reason most of us are traveling, apart from the occasional bit of holiday time, is to get to work, and trying to make that journey more comfortable should be the aim, as opposed to this sort of draconian laws that are coming in and being spied on, which I think really goes against the grain of what we're used to.
Ben, you're obviously an excellent driver. Are there times, though, when you actually need to speed up and, get out of danger or slow down or do something that might be very specific to your situation that you find yourself in at that point? How are these limiters, how do they work? I mean, have you used a speed limiter before?
Yeah, you make a great point. So, I mean, from racing, I'm well used to speed limiters and how they work, and they work in a myriad of different ways. You can have a hard cut that almost acts like a brake. It resists the speed being increased, or you can have sort of tactile, interactive pedal that sort of gives you, pushes back, basically prevents you from increasing the throttle, all kinds of bleeping alarms and all those sort of things. But the fact is, obviously, the brake can be used in an emergency to slow down, and so if you see something you need to react to, you can do that. But the amount of times you'll also need a pop of gas to get you out of trouble. You might find that you're in the blind spot of a truck and it's about to swing out on you, and you need to, advance out of that situation. So you need to be in control of all aspects of the car all the time, in my opinion. It would affect all level of drivers, from novice to experienced. You want to have control. Or, in the future, if we do end up with autonomous cars, then you hand over the whole of the control to the car. Sit back, relax, read the paper. But we're not there yet. We're a long way away from that. And I think this would really do people's heads in. And it's not something that would be fun. Apart from the fact it would also be ruinous, I think, for new car sales. We're looking to try and reduce emissions. The newer cars coming online are aiming to try and do that. I think this would really be an incentive for people to hang on to their existing cars and make the most of them. So it'd be good for the second-hand market, rubbish if you build sports cars.
Can you override these limiters, and how fast, if you can, are they to respond to you overriding them?
From what I understand, so I'm not the guru of what they're proposing, but you can potentially, I think, switch them off, which does, defeat the point, or ignore them. But I think that it's going to be incredibly annoying to have a bonging or a vibration in the pedal that's going to be distracting you from what you're trying to do in the car. So I think there are ways around them. It just seems to be a bit of a duff idea, and one that we should try and avoid taking on if we can, because I think the road network is pretty good in the UK. There's a lot we could do. I do think we could raise speed limits on the safe motorways that we have, with the safer features that we've got in the new cars. So this is kind of a backward step.
Seems to me that it is a little bit. And finally, how would you respond to people who say that this would actually be a good idea because it will keep people driving at more sensible speeds? Apparently, it cuts the death rate by about 20% or the accident rate by roughly 20%.
Love to know how they've proven this. It sounds like a wonderful statistic, but it really difficult to have been proven. And I would love to see what the methodology is behind it. It's also been proven, though, that distraction and risk homeostasis, as they call it, which is the human being's natural adjustment and risk tolerance. That if you take away all the elements of control, people just don't pay attention and are therefore more dangerous behind the wheel. So I think that there's a counter argument to saying that limiting speeds is a safer thing to do, apart from the fact that it just seems a bit unfair to have a sort of major component of your free time taken away.
Ben, thank you very much for talking to us. I suppose you could always go on private land. Ben, thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you.
We'll try.
Ben Collins. He's
Green laning. Nice to see you.